On this edition of Backstage Pass with Lia Chang, I talked with actor and activist Perry Young about his Stop Asian Hate film and his return as Father Jun in Season 3 of Warrior, the cult martial arts drama based on the writings of Bruce Lee, now streaming on Max. Welcome to this edition of Backstage Pass with Lia Chang. I'm your host, Lia Chang. I'm very fortunate to have the opportunity to sit down with my friend Perry Young because he has such amazing news for me.
Thank you so much, Leah. As always, I'm so grateful to have you.
What is going on with Warrior?
That's right. So we just heard the news like 2 days ago that Warrior has moved from Max to Netflix. And it will just gain a whole new audience that we were not able to reach before because Netflix is huge, right?
Yeah.
It's like so huge globally. Max is great for the U.S. audience and European, but Netflix is global. I mean, people in Asia will watch Warrior now, so it's going to be amazing.
Now, for those who have not seen Warrior, why have you not been watching Warrior? We are on Season 3, after all. But for those who have not seen Warrior or who are new to Warrior, let's put it that way, they're new to Warrior, who is Father Jun?
Father Jun is a leader of the notorious Hapway Tong, and it's a Tong that's gotten together to have power to fight against the ducks in China. It was just an absolute pleasure to when I first read the script that the writers to be experiencing like the creativity of the writers to know when to bring Father Jun and Young Jun back together, and it was just a perfect time. It was just the perfect dramatic and emotional time to bring father and son back together in a historical moment in American history.
Last time we saw Father Jun in Season 2, he left Chinatown at the end of the season. He just said goodbye, take care, I'm going on a walkabout. It's a big world out there. I'm just going to see what's out there for me. So that's the last time we saw Father Jun. A lot of people thought, oh, well, what happened to him? Is he ever coming back? Well, he's not dead, So those showrunners waited for episode 5, Season 3 to bring Father Jun back, and it was kind of amazing. A lot of people kept guessing, going, "Wait, I've been following Perry Young's Instagram. I think he's out there. He's there, right? He's there, right?" But he just pops back in, and the audience just kind of my social media just blew up, and we just saw everybody went, "Oh my God, Father Jun, he's back!" So he comes back in just the perfect place. It's a plot line. If for those of you who are watching, Young Jun ends up in a deportation camp in Chinatown, and he gets beat up by these guys who the Hopway had wronged in the past. And so as they're getting deported back, they finally think they can have their revenge on Young Jun, so they beat him up. And in one scene, he's laying there, and you just see a cup of water come into the shot, and and you hear the voice, "Drink this," I think, something like that, and right away everyone goes, "Oh my God, that voice is Father Jun," and it turns out that Father Jun was also picked up through some sort of immigrant roundup, right, and ends up in that deportation camp, and it's an amazing episode. It was just incredible to shoot because it's my first day back after 2 years, a 2-year hiatus from filming. I had filmed, all of us actors had filmed like 3 or 4 other series, movies or whatever, and to come back and go, okay, we're gonna do this again, right? We're gonna do this.
And to come back and do it as a family.
Absolutely, and right when I landed, I had, luckily it was like, oh my God, I'm seeing my friends.
Right.
And it felt so good to see your friends, and fellow actors. But when you're on set and you're thinking, you're waiting for your moment to go on screen camera again for the first time, I'm thinking, I know I wasn't the only one, is the character gonna be there again? Because I've done all these other characters since then,
Oh, right.
Right,
As an
As an
actor,
actor.
am I going to be able to pull out Father Jun
Am
just
I
like
gonna
that?
be Father Jun?
Wow.
Right? It was interrupted.
Right.
It wasn't just we're in that world and we stayed in that world.
Right.
I went and done another other things.
Well, especially because Season 1 and Season 2 were shot back to back.
Close.
It
It wasn't
close,
back to
but
back.
close
Yeah.
enough where you were still able to maintain
Close,
character.
close enough where we didn't all go get a bunch of other jobs.
Okay.
Right. It wasn't a 2-year hiatus.
Right.
It was like 9 months. Some of us did another show or two, or a movie, but the character was still close. with the gap between 2 and 3, it was huge. We didn't think we were coming back. Like a lot of us didn't know we were coming back until we got
Right.
the news, and it was like, pack your bags. It was so quick. It was kind of an amazing thing.
Sure.
Yeah.
So, are you trying to keep it spoiler free so that people can actually watch the episode, or do you want to talk about the storyline? You don't have to.
Yeah, I mean, I could just say that the storyline continues in the same way it started out, where it's really every episode, every moment is still like kind of anti-Asian hate, and you go, that's just how it is for Asians in America,
Right.
Especially
No
back
matter
in
what
no matter
year,
what
century.
and even more so back then, of course.
Right.
But you see like the seeds of Asian hate, capitalism, racism, immigrant scapegoating. It's all
Right.
happening right now. It happened back then, and Asian Americans have shifted, and we had created more of a sort of a foothold in America. But we're still so small number-wise, right?
Right.
We're like 7% in this country. So a lot of Americans will never have an Asian American friend or coworker. So our stories in Hollywood are the only way that we can get our experiences out there in the world. But in terms of the storyline, I mean, same thing as season 1 and 2. We fight the ducks. We fight systemic racism,
Yeah.
and that's why fans love the show. It's like we just go all out and fight systemic racism.
Well, there's no other show like Warrior in terms of representation, in terms of fully fleshed out characters that are Chinese American, and I'm really so grateful that Netflix is going to allow new audiences to see your show.
Absolutely. I'm really curious on how it's going to play out, because Netflix is a global platform with a lot of Hong Kong, Japan, and China, Japan, and Korean product.
Right.
Right. So to see our story that is Asian American content
Oh, I
with
see.
that,
Oh, I see
it's going to
what
be
you're saying.
interesting. It's going to be really
Well, I
interesting.
think it's about time.
I think it's about time too. I think people will get a fresh view of like Asian cinema, and kind of be able to see the difference between, I mean, Asian American content and Asian cinema.
Right.
They'll get a sense of, oh wait, there's something about Warrior that's kind of smart in a certain way, right? Like these actors handle their dialogue in a certain, that with the sort of clout of being Americans,
Right.
whereas in Asian cinema they don't think about that. All right, so we had a strike, as you mentioned,
did.
and I actually, like a lot of us Asian Americans who picketed, we saw how few our numbers were as Asian American actors on the line. We're like, okay, we do represent that. We're that 5%. We're not even the 7%
7%,
Asian
yeah.
Americans, because the 7% includes all Asian American diaspora in America. And we're talking about doctors, lawyers, workers. But as an artist, we're already such a huge minority. So
Right.
there were even fewer AAPI faces on the picket line. So by the middle of the strike, I got together with Nick Sakai and Sybil, your friend Sybil Santiago. And we said, we have to do this AAPI rally day, right?
Okay.
So we got together and we produced a day where we had speakers to highlight the fact that that Asian American actors matter. And we're here on the line
Well,
also.
and that we're not dilettantes, that this is our profession.
Absolutely, and we shouldn't appear as dilettantes on television, right?
No.
Right, and so I it just so happens that 2 days before that rally, I bumped into our friend David Henry Huang, and I said, David, would you like to speak at this rally? And David showed up front and center right there, and Lisa Takuchi Cullen, who was the first person of color to lead the WGA East, the Writers Guild of America. She also happens to be the first Asian woman. So it was Lisa spoke, David spoke, Ezra Knight, African American president of the New York chapter of SAG, spoke. So it was a people of color moment, and it was really amazing because it was like
Solidarity.
today it was solidarity. Like all the other days, there were very few Asians. That day was full of people of color because it was advertised as the AAPI day, right? It was amazing. We spoke, David spoke so eloquently, everyone spoke, and it just felt like we were home,
Right.
And but throughout the strike, my manager, bless her heart, Davy in Littlefield, said, you should take this moment to learn a new skill. This is a moment where I could sort of like connect the two worlds, my music world and my film world, into one. And so I produced and directed my first film, Stop Asian Hate, Love One Another.
And who are the members of your band?
Right, so the film, my longest cohort is a guitarist singer Richard Abhara from Slant, who you know. Then there's Billy Asai, veteran bass player in New York City, and Jun Suenaga on percussions. So it's an AAPI group. And it just so happens that all our songs were, you know, like sort of like activist based, you know. We highlight Corky Lee and the Go for 442nd Battalion, Go for Broke, and Rick's story of being a Japanese American whose family was interned in the Japanese concentration camps, Japanese American concentration camps in America. So it just was so natural that our voice was about, you know, the other, right? And how, again, in relation to the majority and a systemic kind of a...
So this is your first short film that you have directed and are in, right? You're in because the band is featured, and you're just starting to submit it to film festivals.
It's wrapped. I'm really proud of it, and we are just starting the film festival circuit. So I'm submitting to everyone.
Thank you for joining me for this edition of Backstage Pass with Lia Chang. Everybody's got to tune into Warrior in February, and on this episode, we're actually going to have a sneak peek of Stop Asian Hate, the film.
All right.
We gotta stop Asian hate. Stop Asian hate. Stand up together. End Asian hate forever. Unify together. End Asian hate forever.